Good morning, students. So here are your quick lessons for Wednesday, September 2nd. And for math, please remember that you are not using your workbook. Yesterday, we practiced multiplication, and today you have a worksheet that is in your email that you are to complete today. That is also multiplication practice. So take a look at your plan here for Wednesday, September 2nd. And notice that you're going to do the practice sheet that is 1-digit by 3-digit multiplication. So do not go on to page 11 today because page 11 is a brand new lesson. Once you finish with this page, you can move on to language. So for your language lesson for Wednesday, September 2nd, you're starting on page 17 in your language book. However, page 17, you do not have any written work. But it is important that you read along with me because you will need this information for your future assignments. So I'm going to read this aloud and I would like for you to follow along. So we've been talking a lot about verbs, the different kinds of verbs, and helping verbs, and how we can use them in sentences and conversations. And today we're going to talk about verb endings. And it starts with verb endings. Let's spell it right. Did you notice on page 16 that endings are sometimes added to verbs? These endings help the verb to give exact information. The regular verb ending to show that an action occurred in the past is D or ED. Here's an example. I look, that means happening now in the present. I look. I looked, with an ED at the end, happened sometime in the past. Notice how they add ED, not just D. Verbs which do not use one of these regular verb endings to show past action are called irregular verbs. I sing. This is happening now in the present. I sang happened sometime in the past. So if you noticed, you do not add ED or D to the word sing. You would not say, I singed. You say, I sang. And because this is different than normal, we call that an irregular verb. Page 19, a couple pages ahead, will give you a list of irregular verbs that you can know and practice. Another common verb ending is ing. A verb which ends in ing must always have a helping verb. Now remember that you have a list of helping verbs a few pages back that you can refer to. I am brushing my teeth. I will be learning French. So notice the helping verbs next to the action verbs in these two example sentences. On the bottom it says, look closely. Do you remember these important spelling rules? So you may have remembered this in 4th grade, that you sometimes drop a silent E before adding ED or ing. And here we have a few examples of words that we do that. For number 2, it says double the final consonant before adding ED or ing. If a word ends in a single consonant, the consonant is preceded by a single vowel, the word has one syllable, or if its last syllable is accented. Hop, hopping. Notice how it adds another consonant. Hop, hopped. Notice how it adds another consonant. Occur, occurring. Notice how it adds another consonant. Occur, occurred. Notice how it adds another consonant. Now, just in case you forgot, remember that a consonant is every letter that is not a vowel. Every letter that is not A, E, I, O, or U. And you should double the consonant when you're adding ing. Usually. And number 3 says, change Y to an I before adding ed if the y has a consonant before it. These are two examples. Study, we drop the y and add an I for studied, studied. Also in the word spy, we drop the y and add ied. Now I know that this is a lot of information, so as you continue to do your assignments, please refer back to this page and refer back to this lesson on video as reminders, because you might need to come back for reference. When we move to page 18, we also have a few more rules to learn. Now this page has just a few exercises on the bottom, but mostly this is a reference. That means when you continue to do your assignments at the end of this week and next week, you may have to come back to this page and this video for some information. Now here on page 18, we are learning what's called principal parts, the building blocks. This year we are going to learn the names of 4 principal parts, or main forms of verbs. So just think of these as the different forms that we use verbs. Present, present participle, past, past participle. And again, this may seem like a lot of information, but I encourage you to keep coming back to this video and keep coming back to page 17 and 18 for reminders. And I'm going to present to you some examples. All of the forms of a verb are made by using the 4 principal parts, these 4 that we just went over. Now the present form. The present form usually has no ending. Sometimes it ends in S or ES. Example, I feed the fish. Noah feeds the fish. I do my best. Kayla does her best. Can you tell why it is called the present participle? So I'm going to write a little clue. Usually this means happening now. Present form. Now we're going to present participle. Always ends in ing and has a helping verb. And remember, we have our list of helping verbs to refer to. Here are 2 examples. I am feeding the fish. Kayla has been doing her best. Notice how these verbs end in ing and they also have helping verbs next to them underlined. Past. The past ends in D or ed if the verb is regular. Make sure you learn the past forms of irregular verbs, and we will learn irregular verbs on page 19. Examples. I fed the fish. Kayla did her best. I learned a lesson. Can you tell why it is called a past participle part? Now go all the way down to past participle of regular verbs. These look like past form, except they always have a helping verb. Make sure you learn the past participle form of irregular verbs, or you will make errors. And remember, we will have examples of irregular verbs on page 19. I have fed the fish. Kayla has done her best. I had learned my lesson. So these can be a little trickier. So we're going to work really hard to notice the difference between past and past participle. To find the principal parts of verbs, you're going to follow this pattern using any verb. So for this very short exercise, you're going to choose any verb you want, any action word, and you're going to use this. Present. Today I blank. Present participle. I am blank. Past. Yesterday I blank. Past participle. I have blank. So I'm going to give you an example myself, but don't use my example. Choose a different verb. Today I eat. Present participle. I am eating. Notice how there's an ing. Yesterday I ate. Past participle. I have eaten. If you replace this verb with any verb you want, you will better understand how these 4 different verb forms are. So then you stop. Can you spell principal parts correctly? So look back and make sure that you have spelled all of your different forms correctly. Then it says, look again. All 25 ways to express the action of all that dishwashing on page 16 were based on the verb's 4 principal parts. So if you remember on page 16, they used wash, washing, washed, and have washed. Can you find each of the 4 principal parts in that list? So this little exercise is asking you to take a little peek at page 16. And remember these 25 verb forms? It's asking you to take a peek back on page 16 and find the 4 principal parts. So that means you're going to find the present participle, the past, and the past participle on this list. And if you want, you can actually just put them right here. But the most important part is that you understand. So use page 16 and then use page 18. Take a peek back at page 17 if needed, because we're going to use this for page 19, 20, and a little bit next week. And here is your spelling exercise for Wednesday, September 2nd. So today we're going to use our content words, but we're also going to learn about nouns. On the top, we will be using a few of our pattern words. So it says, look up lava and magma in your spelling dictionary. Decide which word fits best in each sentence. Write the words. Definitely look up your words in the back of the book in the spelling dictionary. I know sometimes we're tempted to just try and figure out what they mean without looking them up, but I promise you will have a much easier time completing your work if you use the glossary in the back first. So you're going to decide for 1 and 2 which of these words fit best. Then you're going to look up rain and survey in your spelling dictionary. And then you're going to decide which word fits best in these sentences. Now we're going down to nouns. It says a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. Nouns can be singular or plural. Read the paragraphs and underline the list words that are used as nouns and write the words. So very simply, you're going to read this little passage on your own, and you're going to find all of the people, places, things, or ideas that are in your list. Once you find them, you're just going to underline them, and then you're going to write the ones that you found down here for 5 through 10. So read through, match the words that you find, underline, and then write them neatly. If you miss one, go back and reread it again because you will have to fill numbers 5 through 10.